All right, on today's Measure Koolaid report, we will be dealing with Dalton Shultz, who I would call the number one role player, which is kind of like a contradiction when you say it like that, but according to the Kellen Moore system, he is. Because I did a show, obviously, yesterday, where basically I did confirm and listen to everybody, especially the key decision makers, who pretty much confirmed that we are going into 2022 with the committee system again, right? So with that and knowing that also is understanding that we are also going into targeting Dalton Schultz and treating a role player like a star or treating him like a number one. That is the case with that system. And Dalton Schultz, he's a good player. He's definitely an improved player, and the more that I learn about him, actually the more I like, because one thing about Dalton Schultz, that say what you want, but he does improve every year. He gets better and better every year. He's been also reportedly spending a lot of time preparing to be a better blocker. I think Dalton Schultz is the kind of Dak Prescott style in terms of work ethic, but for tight end, to where he gets every ounce of his ability. So I don't question him, his work ethic. I don't question his desire. I don't question his asset to this team. And his asset to this team has actually increased with the confirmation that we are head first into an offense that doesn't center around anybody. So let me just kind of go to Will McClay again. We go listen to him, take it from a different angle. Listen.
I'm kind of curious on Dalton. I have a very hot take on this, that he benefits from this offense a lot, and maybe he is not like Travis Kelce. But whenever y'all look at him, is it more of the offense just kind of caters to, he's going to be there and he's a good security blanket, or can he be a focal point?
He's an excellent football player that maximizes his physical ability and then goes beyond that with his awareness and his awareness to what defenses are doing and what he can do. He understands who he is and what he can do, and he plays at such a high level, not only physically but above the neck. And he's a viable option because he's always in the right spot. He's doing the right things. The offense doesn't center around anybody. Dak goes to the open guy, and Dalton's open quite a bit.
Yeah, so we go back to especially that above the neck, because it's a lot that you got to really peep about Dalton Schultz and the way that he plays the game, because you have to be able to read a defense to play in this system. Now, a lot of Dak critics that are even Cowboy fans foolishly say all the time, Dak can't read a defense. That's literally one of the dumbest statements out there, because you cannot run this offense without not only Dak reading the defense, but also the weapons got to be able to read that as well. And I'm going to show that with the all 22. So y'all stay, obviously with this, because I'm going to get into the film in just a second, but I got to build a case first. So with Michael Gehlken, and you heard that also from Will McClay, Cowboys Dak Prescott lights up when talking about wide receiver Dennis Houston, the way franchise QBs seldom do with undrafted rookies. He's where I expect him to be on each and every play. And he's coming back and asking about things, communicating about things, tough, resilient player. Because the system itself, and we talked about it on the show yesterday, you might want to go back and rewatch it, that the entire offense is pretty much based on timing and being in spots. It's not dependent on the superstar qualities of a playmaker. That's why Will McClay say the offense doesn't depend on anybody. That's the offense. That is the design of the offense, and that's just how it works. But the downside of this offense is, just being honest, it makes players like Schultz, role players, into stars, because it's going to artificially feed them. So let's listen to the playmaker on that statement, and we'll talk about it.
Whenever you got disorder, dysfunction. We can't have our stars putting up role player numbers like 31 yards rushing, one catch for 21 yards, 69 passer rating, and then have our role players putting up numbers like Schultz and Wilson. That's a disorder. Trying to make our role players stars, our stars role players. That's a disorder, and the team dysfunction, and our ass is home.
So it's pretty obvious that there's a difference of opinion, not just with me, but with a lot of other superstars. Dez, Emmett, Aikman, Jimmy, Kurt Warner. If you even look at some of the comments that was in the Kurt Warner breakdown, because Kurt Warner did a breakdown, okay? And this is the thumbnail to it right here. I'm going to play some of that video on Study Ball. But if you even look at the comments of what they were saying with Kellen Moore, you can see that there's a schism or division on this concept. So here's one. When you go under the Kurt Warner video, this is the first one. She said, what kills me about the Cowboy offense, and this is not coming from a Cowboy fans. Listen to this. He said, what kills me about the Cowboys offense, so much of the time they have the personnel to just win matchups straight up, and they don't take those opportunities handed to them. Now that's somebody that's not even a fan of Dallas. And then somebody else said in the comments, I love how Kurt casually destroys the next great thing, Kellen Moore. I don't like this play design way too often. Yeah, in that video that we go break down, because I'm gonna break down the concept in that I want you to pay attention, and we go point it to how it relates to Kellen Moore. And this is what somebody else said. He said, as a Cowboys fan, this excellent breakdown just makes the loss sting so much more. I really don't get why the media builds up Kellen Moore as some kind of innovative offensive mind when Warner isn't teaching calculus here. He's talking simple concepts and adjustments that could have been made both in game planning and on the fly. Instead, Kellen Moore rolls out the same old stuff week after week, year after year, and somehow he still has his cush job in Dallas. You know, so you can see it's a lot of, you know, differences of opinions on this concept. But I want to dig into the key part to me of this concept. All right, and I'm gonna show you this, and y'all check out Kurt Warner's QB Confidential YouTube, where I'm gonna feature a little bit of this video. So check this out and listen real close, because now we finna get into the meat before we get into the film. Listen.
So here's what I'm saying is that in every zone that you play, you're gonna have a guy in the hook area on the backside, you're gonna have a guy playing the middle, and you're gonna have a guy playing the hook area on the front side.
So I'm gonna stop right there, because that's the key point. No, I'm gonna keep going. Listen.
Doesn't matter if it's cover two and these guys are rolling up, or if it's cover four and these guys are going back, or it's some version of a cover three where somebody else is rolling down. You're always going to have those three zones that should be covered when you're playing against the defense.
All right. So that's the main thing that I wanted to talk about in terms of how this offense, now that we know that we going back into a system offense, we got to understand why he is a primary role player. Like Schultz is a primary role player. So first, conceptually, just to try to understand everything, what he said, which was key, is that when you look at a zone defense, the middle linebackers primarily have the same responsibilities, whether it's cover two, cover three, or cover four, meaning that the read is pretty much the same. Now they're different, but slightly. It's not a hard read. So what's the point? And he was saying, obviously, your strong side linebacker in this example is playing hooks to flat in cover two. The middle is playing the middle zone. The weak side is playing hook to flat on the other side. So, but it's the same thing with cover three and cover four. So what does that mean in terms of Dak, and what does that mean in terms of Schultz? Well, first, that means it's a much easier read between both of them. A much easier read, because you don't have the change-ups that you have on the perimeter. So cover 2 for a cornerback is different than cover 3 for a cornerback. Like totally different. They're almost complete opposite, right? But your middle, the backers, are almost playing the same. And I'm gonna say one more thing too, just kind of digging into this from a concept standpoint. Even if you switch to a nickel, a big nickel, or a dime, the zone responsibilities are still pretty much the same, whether it's cover 2, cover 3, or cover 4 in that middle. Also keep in mind that the short is a lot shorter. So if you in a timing offense, this offense didn't fit people like Shultz. But the key is, and what Will McClay talked about, the key part is you got to be a cerebral tight end, because it's not matchups. It's your ability to read that defense and be on the same page as your quarterback. So let's get into the film and show that, and then we go break it down. So as we dig into the film, we go kind of show some of the concepts that Will McClay was talking about being in the right place at the right time, especially when you merge that with the thought that was coming from Kurt Warner when he was talking about drops that happen from the linebackers, and pretty much whether it's cover 2, cover 3, or cover 4 high is pretty much the same, which actually makes the reads a lot easier for Dak and Shultz or any tight end. So let's just kind of take a look at this. This is cover 4, and just to give you some examples, let's go through this. So when we go through looking at the drops, we go watch what they read. So basically, obviously what we're gonna be looking at is, you know, the drop to these linebackers. So once Dak and Schultz see the drop, they know exactly where to go with the football. And you go even see how fast Dak get this ball out. But the key to this is Schultz got to see it too. And so both of these guys have to be on the same page and know exactly what to do once they see that drop, right? And then make it kind of like a pitch and catch offense. So notice even before Schultz turns around, Dak already has that ball coming out. He not even fully turned around and the ball was already there. That's the benefit of a timing offense, but it works really well with tight ends, especially versus stiffer linebackers. Now, the key, and I will say the mark on this play, in my opinion, this guy, because his drop is bad, it's unathletic, he's the obvious stiff out there trying to be in a zone. That would be the place that Kellen Moore should have been attacking, especially in passing downs, because he's the stiffest linebacker, or dropping as if he's a linebacker. So in this particular play, we having a matchup situation to where the Washington football team is trying to counter the Dallas Cowboys 11 personnel with a dime package. So you can see that's one receiver, that's 2, that's 3. Then you got the tight end with one running back, which then makes that obviously 11 personnel. So the way that the Washington football team counted that package is they counted that pack with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 secondary players. So even though they out there trying to match up against the weaponry of Dallas with 6 defensive backs, the reads and the drops are the same. So you go still see a similar drop, a cover 4 drop with the linebacker, particularly this linebacker. Once he shoots out of there and you see the zone motion coming from the linebackers, it automatically tells Schultz and Dak what to do in terms of sitting down in that hole. Now we're looking at a nickel counter. So the defense is trying to counter, again, 11 personnel with more secondary players. So let's count. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Now what Dak has to read and Schultz is the drop of the linebackers. Now They've been dropping 95. So film would tell you if you see him take that drop, then that automatically tells Shultz and Dak what to do as a read. So if they see the drop, Dak knows and Shultz knows to clear that drop and to find the hole. Okay, so he got to clear the drop, which would be about here, and he's gonna clear it, sit in that hole for a pitch and catch completion. So if we just watch it play out, you see the drop, Shultz turn, pitch and catch, automatic. And so this is another example to where we're going to watch Shultz read the linebacker drops. And what he's going to do, that's smart, but it's also pretty pitch and catch. It's once he see the drop, he's going to sit down. It's pretty simple stuff. Because remember, Kurt Warner was talking about the drops are pretty much the same on cover 2, cover 3, cover 4. So it's easy for tight ends to find their spot and just get a pitch and catch. So boom, he sits down, he reads the drop, he turns around, catches the ball. Pretty simple. So if we show this play, once again, Shultz is going to read the drop, and then once he reads that drop, Dak and Shultz know exactly where to go. In this offense, in this system-based offense, he's going to go right to where he dropped, and he's going to sit down. And it's an easy pitch and catch in this offense. So the design of the offense is really for the middle. And that's why Shultz does so well. It's just pitch and catch. And it's over and over. It's reading the drops of the linebackers and finding the soft zone in the hole. And that's pretty much the system. Now that we looked at the film, we should have a better indication how you have to have a tight end that's not just an athlete, but you got to have a tight end that has spent time with the quarterback being on the same page. For all the people that say that can't read a defense, again, you're a weirdo. You are weird. You don't know what you're talking about at all. You cannot run this offense without being able to read a defense. Not even just Dak. Your tight ends, your receivers, everybody got to be able to read the defense and be on the same page at the same time as Dak. So now let's listen to Will McClay again, and he gonna make a little bit more sense listening to him for the second time. Listen.
I'm kind of curious on Dalton. I have a very hot take on this, that he benefits from this offense a lot, and
that's true.
Maybe he is not like Travis Kelce, but
that's true too.
Whenever y'all look at him, is it more of the offense just kind of caters to, he's going to be there and he's a good security blanket?
It don't cater to him.
Or can he be a focal point?
He can't be a focal point.
He's an excellent football player that maximizes his physical ability and then goes beyond that with his awareness and his awareness to what defenses are doing. And
that's what the film just showed. Is you got to be aware of what the defense was doing. That's why I was showing how he kept adjusting to the drops of those linebackers and doing it at the exact same time as Dak.
What he can do. He understands who he is and what he can do, and he plays at such a high level, not only physically, but, above the neck. And
yeah, see, that's why when you not go have a matchup system, you have to depend on your athletes having the brains, because not everybody out there playing chess. Versus you having a tight end that's just worried about winning. Your tight ends now got to be thinkers, and your receivers.
And he's a viable option because he's always in the right spot. He's doing the right things. The offense.
There we go again, talking about right spots, because this offense is about what? Timing, spots, precision, early, getting there to where, especially remember, the tight ends dealing with a shorter space than the receivers. So it makes Shultz in his system a priority.
It doesn't center around anybody. Dak goes to the open guy, and Dalton's open quite a bit.
I'm kind of curious.
So I wanted everybody to kind of understand Schultz and what he means to this offense. Okay. Because now I kind of get why they tagged him, even though I don't agree. But I also slightly now understand, because now I see the whole time they knew that they wasn't going to ever abandon that system philosophy. So as long as you have a system philosophy, you got to have a player like Schultz who have developed over time, timing with Dak, that backyard work, that film work. They on the same page. That's just what it is. So hopefully everybody got a better idea of, how Schultz fit into this offense, and this offense that's obviously getting ready to be a system offense again. But he is the number one as a role player, and it's exactly what the placemaker spoke against. But that's where we are, and that's what we go see going into 2022. So y'all stay up. I'm gonna keep giving y'all this measured Kool-Aid at Boss Cowboy Sports, and y'all make sure y'all like, y'all share, and y'all subscribe to this content. And we go keep breaking down football with concepts as well as what we think the potential future is. Peace.